Hi, so I wanted to do a quick recording of the human in the loop function that I've been working on. So let me start a workflow to show you how this works. So if I start a new workflow, and the goal here is write a program to print the first 10 prime numbers in Python. And so I can go ahead and run that workflow. So you see the workflow starting up, and if I say docker ps, you can see that it started up the container, it started up the steps. So what I can do now is I can actually pause the workflow at any point in time. So as you see, it's creating the plan. And if I hit the pause button, it's actually going to stop and pause. And if you see, the status is now paused, so it's stopped working on the problem. And so this is the first bit that workflows can now be paused. And then when I'm ready to actually resume the workflow, I can just go ahead start again to resume the workflow. Now you see it's creating the plan. The other thing that's implemented is that I can now fully cancel the workflow. So I can go ahead and hit stop, and that would actually cancel the workflow. So if you see, the execution status is now canceled, and if I see the Docker container now, it's gone. So it's actually stopped the whole workflow and exited cleanly. All right, so that's that. Let me also show you human interruptions here. So if I say show you a workflow, let's start a new workflow, and the same goal. I hit run workflow, and that should start up. And so as you see, it started to write the plan, etc. I can make changes now, so I can instruct the workflow as it's starting to make the plan. So can you this 20 30 numbers instead. If I do send, it should then update the plan or the execution depending on where it's reached. So if you see here, it's now modified the plan to say 30 numbers, right? So I could do that as well. So this is now the execution ways. I could change that as well. Can you Armstrong numbers instead of prime numbers? So earlier it did prime, and it started to write that function, but I've changed it, so I've steered it in a different direction. And now if you see, it's gone ahead and said, oh, it's Armstrong numbers. And so now it started to write Armstrong numbers. I've asked it to clean up the prime numbers file as well. So because it had created this file already and this file, and so if I go back to the workflow, if you see, it's gone and cleaned it up as well. So it's gone and said it's going to delete that file, and it's got rid of that. And so it continues to execute the workflow. I can keep steering it as I wanted to. So the two I've got two MRs out for this, one for language server, one for Rails. Those are close to being merged. And then finally, I've got a final MR that does the Duo workflow service part. Will get that running this week sometime. Thank you.